Hey ninjas. So you guys seem to be really into my garden, which is awesome because I'm really into it as well. But I wanted to give you one last tour around because some folks said they were interested. So it's a little hot out here, so this might be real quick because I don't want to get sunburnt. I've got sunscreen on, but even still, it's hot out here today. So here's a quick scan of like the raised beds and the deck and kind of the back corner of the backyard. We have a lawn, which is unpopular here in California, but we are renting our home, and my landlord said I'm contractually obligated to keep it grass. So, yay on that. But I love my landlords. They're totally awesome people, and it's pretty. So, here we go. We've got a huge French lavender bush, which as soon as it gets really hot out, all the flowers start to go south. Because you can't overwater lavender because it doesn't like a lot of water, but once it doesn't get enough water, then the flowers start to die off because it's hot. So usually flowers in the spring and the fall when it's not quite so hot. This is a lemon tree that actually just a couple days ago was like 4 times the size. Normally we keep this lemon tree relatively shorn, but when my grandma got sick and died, I totally neglected this tree, and it got to be like almost all the way up to the power cables up there, and I had to have my gardener cut it back. Normally I do it myself, but you can see we've even still got some huge Meyer lemons hanging out on the tree, because this year, like I said, my grandma got sick and she died, and there wasn't really a lot of time and energy for gardening. So we still got some lemons in there that I need to pull out and make like a pie or something, maybe some lemon curd. So here we've got our little raised bed. I got some watermelon growing, and this is interesting because I've never grown watermelon successfully before. We'll see how that guy turns out, but it sure looks happy, doesn't it? These are some tomatoes. This little cherry tomato. This is like an early girl, and this is a green Cinderella pumpkin that I planted, and I'm really excited because they're supposed to be very sweet pumpkins. Pretty much everything that's in here got planted super late in the season. Again, because, this year kind of had other plans for me in the spring. So these I only planted 2 weeks ago, and you can see how big and crazy they're getting. They're doing really well. And over here we've got corn, which is going to be fascinating because I have never grown corn before in my life. There's a wasp. Hello, Mr. Wasp friend. Wasps are pollinators, even though they're unpopular. You see this guy buzzing around. He's probably going to leave me alone because I'm not bugging him. So again, this corn I planted 2 weeks ago, and it like exploded. And this is like a sweet corn. It was a bummer because I planted everything so late. There wasn't a lot of like heirloom varieties left. Normally I try to plant like old world and heirloom varieties in my garden, but I was just too late this year. So I was lucky I got what I got. Now this bed, as you can see, is a little out of control. We're not really sure what happened here. This is the volunteer bed. So we have 3 beds, 1, 2, and 3. And in these 2 beds, the small one and this other large one over here, nothing happened when I didn't plant anything. In this bed, for some reason, we had a ton of volunteers. So this is all volunteer squash, and we don't know if they're pumpkins or if they're butternut squash. I've got garlic growing in here, lots of garlic actually. I just harvested some garlic a couple weeks ago. Usually when the leaves start to die off, that's when you pull them out. But these guys are still happy and going strong. Looks like I can probably pull this guy out soon. I'm going to leave it for now because I already have a ton of garlic. This is a volunteer catnip, and actually it totally smells like weed, which is hilarious. Like, it's the strongest smelling catnip in the world. Every year I have a volunteer catnip plant in this bed, and we don't know where they come from. I also have some volunteer petunias from when I first moved in. These guys hanging out in here, if you can see them. Hello, Mr. Wasp. Got some more back there, and some volunteer violas, which died off because it got really hot, and the violas don't like the heat. But this bed was all flowers when I first moved in, and I ripped out the flowers after the first year so that I could plant food, and now every year I end up with volunteer flowers. But these squash, we don't know if they're from birds or maybe a spot of the compost that we're using, because we have a compost bin in the corner. I think that maybe it didn't get hot enough, and these squash seeds just sort of, for some reason made their way all into this one bed. So there's like 4 plants in here that totally freaked out as soon as the weather warmed up. So we're going to have lots of volunteer squash if you live nearby, I'm going to be at your house knocking on your door begging you to take squash. And I planted a couple other things in here. I planted some parsley because I ran out of room, and some basil here. Oop, looks like you are bolting in the heat, so we're going to pull you off. Pull off the flowers to keep them hopefully from getting too leggy. I planted them in here because it got real hot, and I planted them late, and I'm hoping that the squash overhead will protect them from the hot sun. Although that catnip seems to be super stoked. And then I have here, this is a nectarine tree. And I love this tree, although I just discovered today, or over the past couple days, that I can't digest raw nectarines like I used to be able to. So, I'll probably be cooking these up and making jam and making some pie. And they're actually a lot of them are ripe and ready to go. And now it's that mad dash where we fight with the birds about who's going to get to them first. You can see this guy here. The birds get to him. I know you don't mind sharing with the birds. The problem is that the birds peck like one or two little pecks and then move on to the next one. It's like, you little bastards. Like, just pick one and finish it, for the love of God. But that's nature. And I'm actually sad about this tree because this tree is on its way out. I didn't know that nectarine trees have a lifespan, but you can see here it's got some stuff going on here and here. It looks like it's got borers, and it's sad. We had our arborist come out last year, and he said, well, the tree's probably nearing its end of life. And like, it literally has half as many nectarines as it used to. The first year we moved in, we had like hundreds of them, and now it's not bearing as much. And I'm sad to see this tree go because it's a beautiful tree. And you know, I take the tree stewardship and nature stewardship very seriously. So losing a tree or losing any plant always makes me really sad. You can see we lost a limb here in a windstorm we had. So that same windstorm dragged the patio table off the patio by the umbrella and left it like kind of sideways, hanging off the deck. The whole table was up in the air. Like, you get these like freak windstorms out of nowhere. This guy is almost ripe. I'll leave him a couple more days. Anyways, you guys wanted to see my garden, and that's the rest of it. We got one more lemon tree in the side yard. Ooh, it's bright out here. We got one more lemon tree in the side yard, but it's like way over there, so I'm not going to bother showing you guys. Actually, here, just because somebody will ask. Over there's the corner. Like, we've got some lantana and some hot lip sage. I plant a lot of stuff that is friendly for like hummingbirds and butterflies and bees. Actually, these used to be a lot bigger, but we had a really cold snap at the end of winter, and it killed off those 3 plants. So I had to replant them this year, which is why they're so teeny. And right there is a rose bush. And then over there in the corner is another tomato. You can see it kind of like way over there. There's a tomato. We'll just take a quick tour. Got one more tomato because I just had like a spot to plant it. Last year I hung cucumbers on this trellis, but it's a little too late this year. And this is actually my sacrificial catnip plant. This is the one that we dedicate to Zoe because she manages to always find a way into my catnip plants and kill them. So this plant is Zoe's plant. We give this to Zoe. She can destroy it as much as she wants. It's her happy place. Sometimes you'll find her sleeping right in the middle of it. And if I give her this one plant, she leaves all of my other catnip plants alone. And she's our indoor-outdoor kitty because she's our special needs mental health care kitty. If she doesn't go outside, she needs to be like heavily Prozac, which is not great. So we do what we can for her just to keep her happy. She's like I said, our special needs kitty. So I'm going to get out of the sun because I'm going to sunburn. Ooh. So that's it. Y'all got to see the garden. I guess if you have any questions, I forgot to mention there's like there's a volunteer peach tree. My neighbor, I don't know if you can see it over there. My neighbor has a peach tree that's like climbing over a fence. So we get like 10 pounds of free peaches every summer too. Woohoo! Northern California weather. Northern California produce is the best. Not to brag, but it's going to be hard to ever leave this state because you can't beat the produce. So if you have any questions, gardening questions, cooking questions, any questions about the yard, go ahead and leave them below and I will answer them. Have a good one, ninjas. See you later.